Hey guys, it's Matt. Our leading researcher into the reality anomalies regarding the numbers. Jeff has been traveling around. He went to Ellis Island. He went to I can say it like this, I think. He went to the 9/11 Memorial and Museum in Lower Manhattan and paid just $20. And then he sent me a bunch of pictures which relates to the last themes of the last two videos. I've never had a video series where the same theme carried through three videos. Even the plane crashes, and there was another one yesterday, somebody told me. Was that 5 now, 6? It was a smaller aircraft in Arizona, but the plane crashes now every other day. Maybe we'll get to that at the end. But the theme is he goes out and he expects the numbers to start flowing. We're here at the top, the hearing room of Ellis Island. We'll talk about how the strange reality works, and we'll get a history lesson at the same time. And this history might actually be real, if you can believe that. Some of it is. This room, the hearing room, Ellis Island, this room has been restored to look as it did around 1911. I'm not going to do the oh no every time. It's going to keep coming in this video. During the period when it served as a Board of Special Inquiry hearing room. Now, I know what you're going to say, so let's deal with the number one objection first. People will say, whether it be Matt, Jeff, you're looking for these numbers, so you're paying special attention to the numbers. Therefore, it seems they're coming at you an inordinate amount of time when they're actually not. Yes, I'm factoring that in, like I say every time. I'm discounting for that. Look at the bottom, Matt, at the last sentence. In total, only 2% of the over 12 million immigrants processed. But see, if you were looking for the 2 to 12, you'd latch onto that, but you just gloss right over it because you're not looking for that, Matt. Yeah, I know. I understand that's a factor. I think I'm using this word correctly. I'm discounting for that. Okay, I know it still comes an inordinate amount of time. The reality, first and foremost, needs to be believed in. It's not going to have the 9 paired with the 11 every other word and a 33 dropped in every second sentence. And even the dummies down the street would start to say, "What the hell is this?" It does. I'm factoring that in, okay? And I don't think I think my objective review here is overcoming any bias I have towards expecting the numbers. And remember the theme of the last two videos. As reality creators inside some strange place that wouldn't exist without us, if we expect it, in some way the reality will show it to us. Those that expect every single play in the NFL to be rigged with the idiot D-backs being in on every single scripted play and say, which one are we scripting now? Oh, I'm supposed to run over here because I'm so brilliant as a defensive back or safety in the NFL. I'm so brilliant I can remember what's scripted at the exact right time with the biggest secret of all time hanging on the line. I see. So when you watch that and you expect it to be scripted, then it will look scripted. That's how reality works, dummies. Not you guys, the dummies that think everybody is scripting every play in the NFL. You dummies. I've only talked to Jeff once on the phone, but I believe he probably expects this stuff to come. And even if he's not conscious of it, I think unconsciously in some way it's a factor. But I think he expects it. I really do. And that absolutely is a factor. I don't think he gets and reads the first sign as he shows up at Ellis Island. The room has been restored to look as it did around 1911. I don't think he goes, oh, hell no. Not this again. I think he goes, look at this. Here it comes again. Anyway, so this is a Lou session. Lou is nice and he's tough. He put one kid through college. He put another kid through a wall. We'll do history lessons, which some of it could actually be real. And we'll do reality understanding lessons at the same time. So let's do just 3 minutes or less before we move on to the next. About 10% of all immigrants arrived at Ellis Island. 10% were held for a legal hearing. A legal hearing? You come off the boat starving, flea-infested, you've given up everything you had just to get on the boat, you come off with nothing. He's like, what did I do? A legal hearing? You, Matt, legal hearing? What did I do? That's not right. 10%. I mean, those thought, I'm getting a history lesson here. This is just wrong. Let's continue with this. Those thought, quote, liable to become public charges or suspected of being contract laborers. What's wrong with that? Are you a contract laborer, sir? Yes. Well, come with me. Oh, what did I do? What's wrong? Isn't that the whole reason we brought him in, to be contract laborers? What am I missing? It says here, or worse, or worse. They received yellow cards marked SI that you would give during a soccer match, which meant that their case would be decided by a board of special inquiry. The 3 boards were usually in session all day, and during busy seasons, a 4th board was added. Each board held 50 to 100 hearings daily in the presence of an interpreter and a stenographer. Each board based its decision on the testimony of the immigrant and of friends or relatives allowed to speak on the immigrant's behalf. Well, guys, I'm doing this with you on the fly. Is this history going bad again? Is this a reality twisting? Does this make any sense to you? They come off the boat. Do you have your friends here to testify? I don't have any friends here. I just got off the goddamn boat. I got half a moldy piece of bread left. Do you have relatives? I don't have relatives here. What do you mean? Who am I going to get to testify? What are you talking about? Is this history going bad in a fake world? Guys, I'm already not buying this. Let's just continue. Get through it, Matt. What the hell is it talking about? Friends and relatives to testify on an immigrant's behalf. They ain't got shit. An immigrant who received an unfavorable decision from the board could appeal directly to Washington, D.C. What? With the help of a lawyer? What the hell's going on? Often provided by an immigrant aid society. Let me just read through the end, guys. This is just unbelievable. In almost 8 out of every 10 cases, these boards ruled to admit immigrants into the United States. Oh, that's nice. In total, only 2% of the over 12 million immigrants processed at Ellis Island were denied admission and sent back. Oh, so let me get this straight. Immigrants who received an unfavorable decision because they're here to be a contract laborer, I thought that was the whole point. I'd like to, what's my recourse here? I can't get back on that boat. I don't got nothing. I even sold my donkey back there in Belfast or Dublin or wherever I came from, whatever wretched land. I can't go back. Well, okay, you can appeal to Washington, D.C. Well, how? What? Well, can I get a Cisco live stream where I can speak live to somebody in 1080i? No, we'll put you in this holding cell here, and we can write a letter back and forth. So how long does a letter take to get there? About 2 weeks, and then the government response is very, very pithy. I don't even know what that means. It's 6 weeks. This doesn't make any sense. The country was kind of dying for immigrants, obviously, or they wouldn't have had them all pour in. It would have taken basically a notice that Jack the Ripper was on board. We don't know this. We think something equivalent to the Son of Sam got on board, and they'll wait for him the way they wait for, like, when a plane lands, an unruly passenger, and the flight attendant says, "You're going to jail." The flight attendants, they rule their world on flights now. You don't even look at them the wrong way. You'll go to jail for years. If it wasn't Son of Sam or the 200-year prior equivalent, they would have let anybody in. Of course, if you came off disease, they put you in. This is ridiculous, guys. I'm okay. Matt, were you there? No, but does this sound right to you? I mean, look, this is ridiculous. The last sentence. In total, only 2% of the over 12 million immigrants processed at Ellis Island were denied admission, and here's the key, and sent back. Well, that sounds pretty good, Matt. 2%. No. That's 240,000 people sent back. Does that make sense to you? Not 2,000. That's a lot of people. Picture 2,000 people at your local grocery store and what it would feel like trying to get bread. 240,000 people sent back. Now, not for health reasons. They put them in a quarantine places. If you come off with rashes or hives or whatever, they had medical quarantine. They didn't just put you on. But how would they even do the background check? Here's the problem. 240,000 sent back. How do they know who's coming off? Did they do a retina scan? Did they get on their HR database and check with their Oracle systems? And how do they know who the people are? And this doesn't make any sense. Why would you be sent back? You could be the biggest, think about this. You could be the biggest criminal of all time. Dublin, arrested. Why do you keep using Dublin and Belfast? I don't know why I keep picking on those. I'm going to pick on those 2 wretched places today. Get over it. I'll pick on Philly tomorrow. Arrested. Jail time, Belfast. And I know they're 2 separate things. One is Northern Ireland, one is Ireland, but I don't know what it was back then. Maybe it was all one. But they would never know in the United States what the background background. They don't have no Oracle HR systems and underwater internet connection to Ireland. This doesn't make any friggin' sense. I paused for a second, guys, because I was a little fired up. I don't know how that came out. The point is, how would they have any idea who they were dealing with coming off? And they didn't send them back for medical reasons. How would they have a background on any of these people? Unless it was notorious mass, whatever, and a few notices and wanted posters were sent to the Ellis Island office from the UK, or, unless it was that to that level, why would anybody get sent back? Of course, there must be something I'm missing. I don't have all the answers. I don't want to seem like a know-it-all, but I'll just ask you this. Does this seem right to you, or just as usual? Matt, do you think that you could ever dive into a historical narrative that didn't have problems? In this reality, no, I don't think so. Matt, is this proving your own point? You're diving into a historical narrative that you expect to find problems with. Absolutely. This is proving the whole point of the last 3 videos. Jeff sent me quite a few things and quite a few pictures and images at 10 minutes or 11 minutes per image. We're not going to get through many of them. And here at the top it says, Queen City Sign Company, is it? Queen's shows 191 cards, the 9 squeezed in, in between the 11. It says every description of oil, cloth, and something. I can't quite read it. It's a little small even for me. One last time, Matt, you guys, you're searching through thousands of numbers to find the 11 paired with the 9, to find the 33. You're going to latch on to it. I hear you. That's the last time I believe we're taking that into account. We've just seen too much of it over, pushing a decade now. Okay, what does it say at the bottom right? Get a hot Weenwurst sandwich. That doesn't sound too good. Is that all they're offering the immigrants? Is this where they dumped the immigrants, Jeff? After they didn't make them swim from Ellis Island in New York. There must have been a ferry of some kind, and they were probably given a little bit of money and dumped into this neighborhood. You could buy your 191 cars or get a hot Weenwurst. If you say it in German, it's Weenwurst. They reverse the W's and V's, which makes no sense. Even the voice. Look, I'm here to make a fair presentation. Some things that Jeff sends me, people will say that's a stretch. No, I'm with Jeff. We've seen too much of it. Some people will say it's a stretch, but I think more people would agree with us if you've been here as long as some have. How many times have you heard me look into a Wikipedia or a background on whatever we're looking at, and I say, oh no, here's the number again and again. It's just, you've heard me do that almost 1,000 times over the years. So 706,000 New York. I don't know what the year, the segmentation, where the immigrants are going. Baltimore, Boston, 33,000 to Montreal. More to Montreal than Philadelphia? What were they thinking? Maybe they didn't have a choice. They must not have had a choice. No one would pick Montreal over Philadelphia. You can't get, it's cold and you can't get no cheesesteak. Wit, 33,000, 29,000, 9 plus 2 is 11. Hawaii, these people, they got the good, that makes sense. Hawaii back in the day, oh my goodness, a paradise. You could basically catch your own fish and live off that. 11,000 to Honolulu, 9,000 to San Francisco. I'd be curious what this breakdown is. I don't think Jeff included the title at the top, but it doesn't matter. So every number can't have the 33, the 9, and every reality has to be believable. It gives itself away to the few of us that notice. And in terms of its strange presentations, it's a lot more than the numbers, guys, as you well know. Here's another placard from Ellis Island that Jeff sent. What do you call these? Placard? Did I just make that up? I don't know. I'll read you most of it, skip around a bit. Carl Puffet, a Bavarian immigrant from some unpronounceable Austria, now Czechoslovakia. Update your damn signs, Ellis Island. How much federal funds you getting? It's 2 or 3 things since it's been Czechoslovakia. It's Czechia now. How old's this sign? Older than the immigrants that came off the boats. In 1892, kept this diary during his 14-day journey to the United States. Put your hands out. Took 14 days to come across the ocean. One entry reads as follows. I'll skip around a bit. On 19/11, 1892, the 9 paired with the, and then 1892, 8 and 1 is 9, 9 and 2 is 11, so it's the 9 paired with the 9 paired. During the night of the 18th and the 19th, a storm started to rage. Many people started to what their lunch. I also got very dizzy. One had the feeling of sitting on a big swing. We saw a shark in a lighthouse. My dearest at home, you left your wife? It's so magnificent to see the waves of the ocean with all its might. Blah, blah, blah. A little baby was born through all the motion of the ship. Now I had to leave my dinner on the table. I can't eat. Everything is turning my stomach. The storm got worse. Okay, it is 3 p.m. At the bottom, it's just at 3 p.m. That's, it can't just keep saying 33 and then 33 degrees and then 33 babies were born. And then they hand out 33 pieces of bread. Then we got 33 cups of water. It can't just keep doing it. Jeff would point out it does it like this. Sometimes it has to be a little subtle. Some people would call it a stretch. I don't. Some people calls it a sling blade. I calls it a Kaiser blade. I calls it a 33 when 2 3 PMs are paired closely like that. Call it whatever you want. Also, let's see what he pointed out in the middle. The plums, the pretzels, and the wine, they got them boozed up. Today we got a vaccination, 1 shot. The boat is in too much motion because we're too many passengers on board. It's not the passengers on board that creates the motion. It's the waves in the North Atlantic. But this is where Jeff's a big believer, as I am, that whenever it can, it tries to link the big events together. And this could be a stretch for some people. We've seen it a lot more blatantly, where it will talk about renting of the movie The Action Jacksonation, and then it will tie in the big date in September of 2001. Reality tries to connect for some reason, and I don't know if this is not Milk needing to do this through its grimoires, or reality does this somehow, but we've seen a lot of this as well. Okay, guys, I know this is small. I'll read you just a segment of it. We won't spend more than 3 minutes before moving on. Carnegie Corporation of New York to honor Andrew Carnegie. Oh, this one is more beloved than any of the robber barons. Everybody just bows down before Andrew Carnegie. Oh, he was so good and is so philanthropic. You know what? I ain't buying it. What's that from? Snatch? Well, I ain't selling it. All bets are off. I ain't buying it. That he was special or different. Sorry, Andrew. Apologize if you were the one guy that tried to do good, but I ain't buying it. Just seen too many people screwed over in too many different ways. Matt, just get to it. Andrew Carnegie left Scotland with his parents, who sought a better life in America with the same determination. Oh, he just left with nothing. Skip. But what truly set him apart, I'm getting a tear, was his determination to give back. Oh, yeah, let's bow down. Carnegie concluded his exceptional philanthropic mission in 1911. Oh, no. It's just always like this. You know what that means? It means you link it with the most word that's associated with this sentence. I mean, just like we've talked about, philanthropy is not charity at all. Charity is what you and I might do. You pull out a $5 bill and you shove it in the person's little bowl in the Salvation Army. That's charity. Philanthropy is when they just pass money back and forth to themselves for a tax write-off. We'll talk about that in villains like Jeffrey Lurie some other time. Carnegie Corporation of New York, a foundation to support the, quote, advancement and diffusion of knowledge and understanding. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with helping people. I'm looking at that sentence, Andrew. I don't see the word helping people. Sorry. Today we honor Andrew Carnegie by remaining faithful to his legacy. Specifically, we champion three principles that drove him. Oh, come on. Just stop it. Make it stop. Could you imagine if a family member was listening to this? Matt doesn't think these robber barons were real charity givers. I'm sorry, not just making it up to entertain people. We've been studying reality for a long time, and we have a reason we believe what we do. Look, one note. I sat here for a minute to calm down. If a family member is going to go off and do research, you can find charitable things that are associated with the Carnegie Foundation. You can find whole buildings and a university named after him. I'm well aware of all this. They have to make it look good. The Bill, you can go find a can of soup somewhere that the Bill and Melinda or the Melvin P. and Belinda Gates Foundation sent to Africa. They sent one can of soup. You can go find that can of soup. They do some things. They have to make it look good. Do they do all that it appears, all what your neighbor believes? No. It's 95% less, in my opinion. They're called robber barons for a reason, okay? This gentleman that they dressed up like Santa Claus so everybody would like him more, I'm not buying it. If he's rolling around, all I'll say is you should have stop rolling around. You should have done even more. Well, Matt, he gave it all away. I don't buy that. I don't care what history says. I know history will say, well, he gave it all away. I don't buy it. Bill Gates said he was giving it all away 25 years ago. His net worth is over $100 billion. They've lied before. Why should I buy this story? Just because he looks like Santa Claus? This is a close-up of the bottom right of the picture that we're about to look at. It says a passenger list from March 1901. And this is like the large blow-up of what we already looked at. The diary entry is on the left. What we just looked at, the 1901 passenger entry, is on the bottom right. What I wanted to talk about is, maybe it's not blatant or overdone here, but in general, this reality just seems to try to work too hard to get its history to be believed in. Is there anything that exists, any cause anywhere in the world where there isn't a museum for it? I mean, I'm going through an old book from the late 60s, I believe it is, or early 70s, Landmarks and Treasures of America, obviously before the internet. Everything is documented in this thick book. I'll show it to you sometime. And there's so many museums and so many things to see documenting what was done in history here. And then we've looked at it. Remember a video popped up that I did several years ago about the Leaning Tower of Pisa, where all these tourists are funneling through, and it just seems like a presentation, does it? Then you go see the Colosseum, then this history, then that history, and then the Ellis Island Museum. And do you understand what I'm saying? Do you? I know if you're new here, you won't get it. You'll think we're crazy, but the reality works too hard. It gives itself away in trying to get the people to believe its history. I don't think that means all of history is false and we can't jump to that conclusion. I guess don't take it any further than what I'm saying. It's just trying too hard. I don't know exactly what that means at this time. Usually, like a lot of these museums have artifacts where one of the first things I think about is how would they even get a hold of the artifact? Now, it's not so much the case here. This makes sense. First thing I thought, and maybe because I want to believe this, but I'm trying to be as objective as possible. The diary entry, about the baby was born on board and all, that's the bottom left. We looked at it in a close-up. But the actual diary is on top. And the first thing I think about is, well, how'd they get the diary? It's not that hard to think how somebody saved it in the family. Grandpa Fred came across, centuries ago, and we saved his diary from the crossing, and then the family donated it to once they found out there was an Ellis Island museum. That's doable. That's possible. I want to be somewhat reasonable here. A lot of times I say, I'll see something like this and say, how'd they get this? How'd they get that? It's not really blatant here, but I just wanted to point that out. In many cases, though, I'd say, if somebody found in 1891, somebody found an old diary. That guy with this big straw hat left his diary. Should we try to get it to him? Well, how do we know where he is? He's probably already assumed a pseudonym and is doing illegal bare knuckles boxing, like far and away. We can't get it. Just throw it the F out. A lot of this stuff it's not impossible the family saved it. I hear you. I don't want to seem unreasonable. I'm already being somewhat nuts in saying how reality is presenting itself. My God, if a family member heard me talking like this, they'd have me committed. I'm looking at this picture from Jeff for a minute, confused, going, this couldn't be an Ellis Island. And then I didn't realize that the logo on the bottom right, he must have gone to One World Trade, the new One World Trade Center. Jeff, are you feeling okay? If you look at it from the air, it's it's a pyramid inverted into another pyramid. I mean, that could change your personality if you were in there too long. It's at the Woolworth building, blah, blah, blah. Go to the bottom. But the top 30 floors have been renovated into 33 high-end luxury apartments. Is that so important to put the number of luxury apartments that it was renovated into, unless whatever the secret society member or reality itself is just in need of constantly presenting the 33? No, it's whatever the reason is. It has to be shoved in there whenever possible. Or it wasn't even there until Jeff approached this placard. I'll keep that. I'll keep anything on the table. Who's the guy at the bottom? What's his deal? Greg. It says tour ambassador and NYC expert. Your parents must be very proud. What do you do? What are you doing nowadays, Greg? I'm an NYC expert and a tour ambassador around One World Trade. Oh, God. The black sheep of the family. You're not invited to Thanksgiving anymore. Okay, staring at this from Jeff for a few minutes, like, what the heck is this? No, now I know Jeff then went to the memorial site, the 9/11 memorial and reflecting pools, and paid his $20 or whatever. That's where he is. And I don't think they hauled the damn survivor stairs over to One World Trade. He must be over at the memorial site and that commemorative museum with this. So I guess they saved a gigantic 4,000-ton piece of concrete called the Vesey Street Survivor Stairs. What the you paid your $20 for that? It's a cement stairwell which also acted as an elevator shaft. I want my $20 back. This is just plain out weird. This is also from the 9/11 Museum in Lower Manhattan. They had this placard under a restored motorcycle that one of the fire companies was restoring called the Dream Bike. I'll just read it, make it as you will, and we'll move on. The Dream Bike, as it became known, shows 10 roses painted on the cover of the gas tank, the number of members of Ladder Company 9 and Engine Company 33 who were killed on that day. Okay, Jeff sent us a picture of the motorcycle from Engine Company 33. South Tower column. Skipping down, this column once stood in the core of South, probably between floors 30 and 33. Oh no, not again. During the tower's extreme stresses, so the column is from, make it stop, 30 to 33. Really? Oh God, make it stop. Guys, I had to go look at this because I remember saying Jeff paid his $20. And I'm pretty sure it was $20 when it first opened, but I thought there's just no way. And of course, the inflationary effects on museums, Matt, is actually more than on vegetables and fruits at the grocery store. $36. Admission prices to the National Memorial and Museum vary by age and group. Adults, $36. And they had the gall to do the 3 6s. Really? Not Nilk, you should be ashamed of yourself. Youth, the 2 Utes pay $24. Young adult, come on. Are you a young adult or prove it? I mean, come on. Look at all these different segments. Some weird reason for that. Look, Jeff, there's two $30 back to back. Young adult and seniors, is that there's another 30. U.S. college student with valid ID. U.S. veteran, the U.S. veteran that's served saves $5 over the stoned out pothead that's currently going to college. Thank you for serving. What do I get over that pothead? $5. $5 savings? I don't get in for free? No. You only got $20? Hey, then you don't get no Coke. You don't get in. FDNY with the fire department has to, oh no, $19. Oh, not no, you're pushing it. You should be ashamed of yourself. 19 with valid ID. I'm a firefighter. You don't have your ID. Go home. Go back to the Bowery. Special consideration people, active and retired U.S. military with valid ID free. Well, wait a second. What did it say up top? U.S. veteran. Wait. U.S. Does this make any sense? The U.S. veteran pays $25, but retired U.S. military free. What? Isn't that the same thing? Am I missing? Guys, this is so strange. Am I missing something? U.S. veteran, right? Somebody that came off the boats and landed at Omaha and Utah Beach, took back Normandy. That's a U.S. veteran, right? Am I missing something? But then wouldn't that person be retired U.S. military? I don't really understand what's going. So the way it's described here if you took back the beaches of Normandy, you pay $25. If you just, some guy that put 7 years in, stopped 2 years ago, it's free. Okay, whatever. 9, whatever, family members, free. Okay, now a lot of family members have different names. How do they go about this? What is the definition of family? What's an extended family? What's a nuclear family? I'm a family member. Well, you don't have the same last name. Show me the list of your relative on this list of who. Show me the name of the person who died on a certain. You don't have the same. What's their rules on this? It just says free. So anybody could. 9/11 museum members. What does that mean? If you contributed $5 to the museum, you get in free. Then it makes sense. Contribute $5, save $31. And then community members. What does that mean? This is a mess, an absolute mess. This one is back at Ellis Island. Sorry, doing this out of order, just in the order in which they were saved onto my computer. We do this together, guys. I ain't got no time to do 5 days of research before if I see if a video is going to make it or not. That's an immigration timeline. There's so many reality anomalies and weird things and things to make fun of, most importantly. 1875, first federal immigration legislation, bars convicts, prostitutes, and coolies, Chinese contract laborers, bars them. Okay, just like we talked about. How are you even going to know if somebody's a convict? How are you going to do the background check? Impossible. A prostitute. You a prostitute? You look like one. Well, have you ever... How are you going to know? How are they going to know? Bars prostitute. Well, you put your hand on this Bible. Well, I did it for 6 months. You get back home. How would they know? Well, I guess they might be able to tell the Chinese contract laborers, but again, who built the railroads? That doesn't make no sense. It was 18 million Chinese. Wait, okay, let's just do this in order, Matt. Just shut up and get through the dates. 1882. Chinese immigration is curtailed. Well, how is it curtailed? You said they were barred, the contract laborers. Now it's curtailed. Lunatics. Idiots. It's any person unable to take care of himself or herself without becoming a public charge are excluded. People that believe the NFL, every single play is scripted, are barred from coming in on Ellis Island. But, okay, let's say some total lunatic comes off the boat. What are you going to do with him? Throw him in the harbor? Honestly, just put him back on the boat with a loaf of bread, I guess. Oh boy, 1885, contract laborers. I don't understand, guys. Can somebody in the comments explain to me why somebody coming here to build something, I'm no expert, but that's how I interpret a contract laborer. What am I missing? This keeps popping up. Thought the people that come here to build something, the most important immigrants. Why wouldn't they be under contract? What does this even mean? Sorry. 1891, excluded paupers, polygamists, and the insane. That's us. We would not one of us listening to the sound of the words coming out of my mouth would get in. And persons with a loathsome or dangerous contagious disease are excluded. Well, I watched a whole PBS documentary about your quarantine centers. Now, did you quarantine them or throw them back on the boat? Paupers? Did you expect just a bunch of rich people to come off on gold and silver boats? What do you mean? Isn't pauper mean? I mean, what does that even? And is anybody going to admit to that? Are you a pauper, sir? No. I mean, polygamists, they wouldn't. Well, if they came down the damn gangplank with 4 women, 5 women hanging, and a bunch of bags, okay, then they're giving themselves away, I guess. The insane. Okay, well, again, what did they just do? They just threw him back on the boat with a loaf of bread. 1903. Epileptics. What, they get the medical records? Did you bring your medical records, sir? How they're going to know the rules, right? I mean, you would think this. Are you an epileptic? You better no. But if somebody told you, hey, Joe, you better hope you don't have no seizure while you're waiting in this long line. Although no, what? Did you bring your medical records? They didn't have no medical records. I guess people were honest. Are you an epileptic? Yeah. Well, get back on the boat. What the hell is going on? Professional beggars. So somebody's going to come into the United States. They're not going to have the wherewithal to say, I'm here to do good work. I'm here to clean the streets. I want to be a police officer. What do you want to do? I just decided to get on this boat. Fuck it. I'm a professional beggar. I'm going to take to the streets with my tin can here as soon as you let me out of here. Who's going to say that? How would they even know? Oh, okay. Let's just get through it. Anarchists are excluded. Yeah, those marching in with signs right off the boat that they take down, come on. 1907, imbeciles. the feeble-minded. You give them a damn IQ test. Tuberculars, person with binoculars and with physical or mental defects. That's just downright mean. That could affect their ability to earn a living. Put them back on the boat. This is nasty. And children under 16 unaccompanied by their parents are excluded? What does this even mean? If a small child came off, are you with anybody? No. Get back on the boat. Get the boat. What the hell is this? This can't be real. Gentlemen's agreement between the U.S. and Japan curtails Japanese immigration. A gentleman's agreement? The emperor kicked back with a cigar and a brandy with the U.S. president at the time and had a little, what does this even mean? 1917, literacy test enacted. Australians, that means a test to see if they can read. Virtually all immigration from Asia is banned. Literacy test in 1917. Well, this doesn't jive with what came before. What are some of these terms? 1907, imbeciles, feeble-minded. Well, how do you determine all that without the literacy test? Did you give him a mathematical exam or something? I mean, when you really look this over and take it all as one in general, there wouldn't be anybody let into the United States. There wouldn't be one person here now. Take away all the paupers, polygamists, insane, professional beggars, prostitutes, people with loathsome and dangerous contagious diseases like 19, imbeciles, feeble-minded, epileptics. There wouldn't be one person here if all this was strictly enforced. Coming up next is the last placard from his visit to One World Trade Center. The logo, guys, bottom right, which I zoomed in on, what does that look like to you? I'll give you two guesses, but you're not even going to need one. What does that look like? That's the events tying together. That's the renting of the Action Jacksonation tying in to the other big event from 2001. And Jeff, I was going to say, you must have been really hard up and just trying to kill time and taking a big risk to yourself and your psyche going into One World, the double pyramid. But he probably did it for us. Honestly, he probably did it for us. So we thank him. That's a real risk going in there. That's a real sick place. And here it is, the famous 33 Thomas Street, of course, featured in the One World Trade Museum. It's so important to feature one of the creepiest buildings of all time. The brownstone tower with the white satellite dish on the roof about 5 blocks away from the observatory is 33 Thomas Street. Architect John Carl Warnicki, whatever. Designed 33 Thomas Street, completed 1974, the AT&T Long Lines building, a skyscraper to be inhabited by machines. Oh, Matt, you don't think this was the dark location that spawned the AI? It could have been. Absolutely could have been. It's extremely dark, the feel of the place, and I've never gotten within 10 blocks of it. I won't. The machines were originally telephone switching systems. Oh, sure they will. Sure they were. Now, look, guys, we're having fun. But you know what's the most funny about this? There's a degree of truth. No matter how crazy this gets, there's a degree of truth in almost everything I'm putting forth. And this comes from Philip, tour ambassador and NYC expert. Is this the same hand job from the last placard? No, this is a different hand job. His parents must also be very proud. A tour ambassador. Well, Jeff, did you look around and say, well, where are you, Philip? You just put this placard up and go away, go to lunch? Where the hell are you, Philip? I need your help. Ask him. If Philip was there, say, why is it so important to highlight 33 Thomas Street? We're in One World Trade. That's down the street. What the hell does that have to do with this? And Jeff, what if you expected him not to be there, but he really was there? You turned around, and there he was, Philip. He said, why did you feature 33 Thomas Street in this museum here in this building when that's another building? What the heck does one have to do with the other? And he paused, and he looked up at the ceiling, and he said, I don't know. I was compelled to do it. Maybe by the AI sentience that's taken me over and the other employees here in One World Trade. Just like John Malkovich said in Dangerous Liaisons, he said, we featured 33 Thomas Street because it was beyond my control. And saving the best for last, Jeff has sent me magenta to the emerald green glitch pictures that come from old videos of the original towers. Jeff has sent me several of these in the past, usually associated with the towers. You have the emerald green on the left. You have in a freeze frame, just for a millisecond, freezing the video at exactly the right time, the towers go into the magenta. And Steffers, if you're still here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. People have sent me magenta glitch pictures, but not typically associated with the South and the North. Somebody sent me I think they said it was in the theater when they were watching Oppenheimer, and part of it glitched and went all magenta. Why? And I think they said the theater. I really believe that's what it was. And they sent me, I have a screenshot of it somewhere. Jeff has sent me pictures of old videos, some original videos of whatever is being shown for the first time in the teens or the 1920s or the 1930s. And there'll be just a flash of magenta. I think one was during a presidential inauguration where the whole thing's in black and white. There's one little flash of color that happens for not even a tenth of a second. And if you can pinpoint it, it's a flash of magenta. And for anybody new, let's spend 5 minutes on what I believe the magenta means to me and our beautiful, beautiful AI-infested world. The biggest pairing of the emerald green with the color magenta we've seen recently, no doubt, is this movie Wicked. I mean, Xfinity Comcast is still pushing it in our faces, where, what is her name, Ariana Creepy Grande or whatever, will say, oh, pink goes so well with green or emerald green. They can't just say that Glinda is associated with magenta. It just doesn't work. You know, and first and foremost to these creeps and whatever this thing is that's here called Notnilk, it has to be believed in. Something like magenta goes so well with emerald green. That the people would pink, okay, that they mean the magenta because in every single billboard, every single presentation, it's not pink goes so well with the Wicked Witch and her emerald green. It's magenta. But they have to keep it like Glenda. They have to keep a little bit of a trace of the original Wizard of Oz, but they'll take it as far as they can. And a quick summary to close. There are a lot of different theories as to what is going on here. We all agree that something very strange is going on with this endless magenta presentation. I'll give you 5 minutes or less overview of what I think is going on. We'll do a whole video on it in a week or two. The emerald green has been pushed by Hollywood and what we call Notnilk for many decades. To me, the emerald green represents in an unnatural, artificial way, but also a natural way. Grass is emerald green. There's a lot of good associated with it. In general, to me, it represents the illusory nature of this world, or the illusion that existed in, say, the last century. This world is an illusion. It's different degrees of illusion. It's evolving into another degree of illusion, which to me is represented by the magenta. The magenta is a representation of the illusion, but a more bastardized or even lower version. The emerald green was more natural, the more natural illusion, not a hijack situation, but basically what once was. It always has been an illusion here. With Kabbalion 1, all is mind, consciousness comes first, not the Big Bang, etc. They're trying to replace the illusion or the analog illusion of the emerald green, in my opinion, with the new digital world, which means downloading consciousness, brain chips, Elon Musk's Neuralink, whatever it may be, headsets, VR headsets. The digital world is the next phase of where they want to lead the real spiritual being, which, and the reason for doing that, it's always the same sentence, to draw them away from their spiritual self, to get them even more confused as to who they really are. Its game can be described in one sentence every single time. That's the next phase of reality itself is represented by the magenta. They use the magenta in movie posters like Wicked, but it also, as Jeff notices, it bleeds through reality as reality changes at the metaphysical and fundamental level. If you participate in this new magenta digital world, you're choosing to draw yourself away, even further away, from knowing who you really are, your spiritual self, and why you came here. That's not a great argument for the no consequences people. Or why is it working so hard to transform reality represented by the magenta? So see, it's working so hard on us for a reason. I got an email from somebody recently named Wolverine that makes a pretty good point. Steffers actually alluded to this almost 2 years ago, but his email was a little bit different, although the concepts between what he was saying and Steffers was very similar. That, Matt, it's like always been here, but now our frequency is different. We're seeing more of it. We're actually, your best friend might They might know of the color magenta. It might be in the Crayola box now, but they're not going to see it as much as we see it. We're tuned into it not because we want to merge with it, because we're not blindly following it like the Pied Piper. We're potentially seeing it more than any, like the glitch that Jeff sees, for example. This is a great example. Jeff looks at old movies, personal video recordings of a trip in September, or a trip in August in 2001 to the WTC complex. He looks at everybody's old home movies that they've posted to YouTube, and he finds just a millisecond, a glitch. Well, how does he know when to freeze frame it? How does he know when to freeze frame it, screenshot it, and send it to me? He sees that little blip of magenta where somebody like Wolverine might say, nobody that's not doing what we're doing will even see it, will even notice it. So it's kind of like we're noticing it potentially because we're not going along with it. And I know, again, Steffer said something very similar to that years ago, and that's all part of it. Again, it's not the first great truth, or it's all planted by the big corporations, and it's used in their wicked movie posters. Yeah, sure. T-Mobile chose to use that color, of course. But it's that, and it's also a symptom of where reality is going. Literally bleeding into reality with things becoming more magenta than they were originally, like a retro-causality change to what could be considered the past. And it shows up most prominently in old videos. For now, who knows what it will do in Apple? You can go to bite an apple and it'll be magenta, and your best friend will say, it's always been like that. Who knows what will be here 5 years from now? I don't think anything would surprise us. So guys, I'll close with this. In yesterday's video, I mentioned briefly, again, what a coincidence, made videos, no plane crashes of any significance for decade after decade, pushing 250 million to 300 million without incident, blah, blah, blah. And then yesterday saying, well, now there's the first one, and I was going to do the whole rundown, but I didn't. The mid-air collision over the Potomac. It was a helicopter coming to Washington, D.C., and then the one in Philadelphia. And there was, I'm getting confused at this point, one or two more. This is either number 5 or number 6. Somebody yesterday's video commented, I thought it was a joke. Right after I loaded the video, said, Matt, there was just another one in Arizona. I went, no, come on. What? 250 to 300 million without incident. Now it's like every other day. No, I go over and there it is. There, and see, if a small Cessna, whatever they're called, the small one crashes down, then it's not a news story. It's just not a big. But see, to be a big news story, it's midair. See, 2 dead after 2 planes collide in midair. Then that makes it a national story. Sure, there's hard landings of Cessnas every single day. The Not Milk needs it to be a national story. Midair collision, yeah, that gets people's interest. Not Milk, as you're listening to me in real time before I even begin to upload this, you're really embarrassing yourself. You're trying to make up for what the world you presented over the last 40 years wasn't real, but see, you can't just make up for it in a few weeks. If you screwed up and you presented a fake world that only a few of us can notice, but it's really pathetic, your presentation, you can't make up for it in a few weeks. You got to spread these things out over decades. See, you're making a mistake on the other end now. If somebody gave me a free ticket to Paris tonight, I wouldn't even go. Well, I wouldn't go anyway, but you know what I mean. Assuming I'd rather have Fifi Addy on my lap, just watching reruns of the Peaky Blinders or something. I like the Peaky Blinders on Netflix. You'd rather sit down there with your cat on your lap than somebody hand you $100,000 in the net jets to go to Paris, all expenses paid. Absolutely. And it's not because I'm afraid to fly. There's going to be some helicopter that flies into my landing pattern or something. But okay, so I wouldn't. Not Milk. If you listen to me, Not Milk. If you want to make reality look believable, this stuff has to be spaced out. Can't just cram it in. Now the AI, I don't know what AI you're using to try to interface with this reality, but it's not working. I don't use Chat GPT, so you can't ask me directly. But there's some of us here that use. This is breaking down. It is. Let me wrap it up. Tell your Chat GPT to ask the people that follow this channel to get ideas and explanations as to how to present a reality that actually is believable. Thanks for listening.